Riding a motorcycle is already dangerous enough, but doing it following garbage advice is what sends people to the hospital. The wisdom passed around in garages and WhatsApp groups isn't wisdom, it's poison. We're not talking about how often to change the oil, we're talking about half-second decisions that determine whether you get home or not. Today we're going to destroy 12 deadly myths that you need to get out of your head right now. Stop believing lies. It's time to separate reality from fiction. Let's begin. Myth number 12. Earplugs are dangerous because you can't hear traffic. This myth seems logical at first glance. You need to hear the cars around you to be safe. And if you put in earplugs, you'll go deaf to sirens, horns, and screeching tires. That's the mindset of the rider who believes their hearing is their main defense, and that covering their ears makes them vulnerable. But here's the trap you fall into. At 60 miles per hour, the wind hitting your helmet generates around 100 decibels of noise, the same as a chainsaw running next to your ear. After 15 minutes, you're not just suffering temporary hearing damage, you're suffering brain fatigue. That constant roar saturates your brain, causes physical stress, and dulls your other senses. Paradoxically, the wind noise masks the sounds you need to hear because it creates a wall of white noise that drowns out the distinctive frequencies of a siren or a horn. The truth is that quality motorcycle earplugs are designed to filter noise, not block it. They eliminate the low-frequency roar of the wind while letting through high-frequency sounds like sirens and horns. When you eliminate wind noise, you can hear traffic much better because the background interference disappears, and you also stay fresher, more alert, and for longer. So buy yourself some earplugs today and use them on every road ride. You'll be surprised how much calmer and more focused you feel when you get off the bike. Myth number 11. A tighter chain is a safer chain. This is a mechanical myth that destroys engines. Riders see a bit of slack in their chain and panic, thinking they don't want the chain to move too much, or that if it's loose it might skip the sprocket teeth. So they grab the wrenches and tension it like a guitar string, believing tension equals precision and safety. But physics disagrees. A motorcycle's suspension moves. When the rear wheel goes up over a bump, the distance between the front and rear sprocket increases, and the chain needs that slack to adapt to the change in geometry. If you tension it too much, when the suspension tries to compress hitting a bump, the chain acts like a solid steel bar that locks the swing arm's movement, and that force is transferred directly to the chassis and tires, causing loss of traction. In extreme cases, an excessively tight chain can break under tension and fly off, cracking the engine case or embedding itself in your leg. Slack is your friend. A properly adjusted chain should look relatively loose when the bike is unloaded. The ideal is to check tension sitting on the bike so the suspension supports the weight, and if it's tight like a violin string, loosen it immediately, because it's always better for it to be slightly too loose than slightly too tight. Myth number 10. If the tread is good, the tire is safe. You're looking at a used bike, or the tires on your own bike, and you think they still have plenty of tread, so they're good for another season. You assume tread depth is the only indicator of a tire's condition. But this is a dangerous mistake that sends people sliding across the asphalt. Tires are chemical products, and over time the volatile compounds in the rubber evaporate, a process accelerated by ultraviolet radiation and heat cycles. A 7-year-old tire can have perfect tread, but the rubber has turned into bakelite. It's hard, brittle, and doesn't deform. That tire offers no mechanical grip. It won't heat up in an emergency stop or conform to the asphalt in a cold corner. It will simply slide over the pavement like hard plastic. So check the manufacturing date on your tires right now. If they are more than 5 years old, change them even if they have tread, because cheap modern tires are safer than the best premium tires turned to stone. Myth number 9. You turn the motorcycle by leaning your body. This is a classic misunderstanding fueled by watching MotoGP riders hanging off their bikes. Some say you turn with your hips, or that you lean and the bike turns by itself, believing body weight is the main mechanism for turning a motorcycle. This belief leads to dangerous riding, because in an emergency, when a car pulls out in front of you just feet away, moving your weight is too slow and ineffective. You can't make a 400-pound machine with gyroscopic effect turn just by leaning your torso. Countersteering is the only efficient way to turn a motorcycle. To turn left, you push the left handlebar. To turn right, you push the right handlebar. This manipulates the gyroscopic forces to lean the bike instantly. Body position is for stability and gaining angle in tight corners, not for initiating the turn. Try it in an empty parking lot, keeping your body centered and turning only by pushing the handlebars. You'll notice how instant and violent the response can be, and that is your survival tool. Myth number 8. If you drop your helmet on the ground, it's useless. You're at a gas station, and the helmet slips off the seat, hitting the ground with a dull thud. Your heart sinks, because you've always been told that a single impact destroys a helmet, and now you think you have to throw your $600 helmet in the trash. This myth discourages people from buying quality helmets because they treat them like fragile eggs. Helmets are designed to absorb energy by compressing the expanded polystyrene foam inside. But that compression only happens when there is weight inside the helmet pushing against the foam during an impact. When an empty helmet falls from a height of 3 feet, the outer shell might get scratched, but the inner foam rarely compresses because there's no mass inside to crush it. Unless the shell is cracked or the fall was from a considerable height, the helmet is most likely still structurally safe. Inspect the helmet carefully, but don't discard it for a simple fall to the ground without your head inside. Myth number 7. Eye contact means the driver has seen you. You approach an intersection and there's a car waiting to turn left. You look at the driver and he looks you directly in the eyes. There's eye contact and you think it's all good, that he's seen you and you can continue. But then the car pulls out right in front of you. This is the deadliest psychological trap in driving. It's called inattentional blindness or psychic masking. The human brain is designed to filter out information it considers irrelevant. Drivers are looking for cars, and a motorcycle, which is smaller, is often filtered out by the brain, even though the eyes physically register it. Always assume you are invisible. Eye contact means absolutely nothing because the driver can look through you and see the empty road behind. Never trust a driver's gaze to guarantee your safety. Instead, move slightly within your lane as you approach an intersection, because that lateral movement breaks the camouflage and triggers the driver's peripheral vision, making you stand out as a moving object. So far, myths about perception, about what you think you hear, about what you think you see, about how you think your own bike works. But the following ones are deeper, more psychological, trickier, because they don't just affect you, they affect how you relate to everything around you on the road. Myth number 6. Using the horn alerts drivers. A car starts drifting into your lane, and you hit the horn, hoping the driver will react instantly and move over. You trust the horn as if it were a protective shield. The problem is that modern cars are hermetically sealed acoustic chambers. They have double glazing, sound-deadening insulation, and powerful sound systems. A motorcycle horn is barely audible inside a modern SUV at highway speeds. First evade, then honk. If you have time to honk the horn, you're not in a real emergency yet. The handlebars and brakes are your safety devices, not the horn, so treat your horn as if it were broken. If a car invades your space, assume they won't hear you, and use the throttle to escape or the brakes to yield. Don't bet your life on a beep. Myth number 5. Stiffer suspension improves handling. Some people want their bike to handle like a race bike and max out the compression and rebound damping, leaving the suspension hard as a rock, believing that eliminating body roll makes the bike faster and safer. But suspension exists to keep the tire in contact with the road. On a racetrack, the surface is smooth as glass and stiff suspension works. But on the street, the surface is crap, full of potholes, undulations, gravel, and broken asphalt. If your suspension is too stiff, it can't absorb those irregularities, and instead of the wheel moving up to absorb the bump, the whole bike gets launched upwards, causing the tire to skip across the asphalt. A tire that bounces has no traction. A stiff bike on a bumpy road is nervous, unstable, and prone to sliding. Absorption is grip. On the open road, you want the suspension as soft as possible without the bike wallowing. It needs to absorb the hits so the chassis stays stable, and the tire can follow the contour of the road, maintaining the contact patch. Myth number 4. Going slower is always safer. New riders often believe that riding significantly slower than the rest of traffic is a safety bubble. But this is a dangerous fallacy. Speed difference is what kills. If traffic is flowing at 70 and you're going 50, you've become a moving obstacle. Cars approach from behind at a 12 mph relative speed, forcing them to brake, maneuver, and overtake you, creating turbulence and aggression around you. You are constantly being passed, which places you in blind spots and exposes you to rear-end collisions, the type of accident over which you have the least control. Safety is in the flow. The safest speed is slightly above that of the surrounding traffic because it puts you in control. You approach obstacles from the front where you can see them, instead of having them approach you from behind. Don't be an obstacle on the road. Adapt to the traffic speed or go 1 or 2 mph faster. Myth number 3. Textile gear doesn't protect as much as leather. Veterans often say that if you're not wearing leather, you're not safe, that textile jackets melt onto your skin or disintegrate like tissue paper in a crash, considering any synthetic as inferior. This belief leads riders to buy heavy, hot, uncomfortable leather gear that they end up hating. So when it's hot, they leave the leather at home and go out in a t-shirt, thinking that if they can't wear the best, they wear nothing. The truth is that modern textiles are built for war. High-quality textiles often have CE level AA or even AAA certifications, offering the same abrasion resistance as leather. They come with D30 protectors that harden on impact, and unless you're going to slide at 100 miles an hour on a racetrack, a quality textile suit offers massive protection and is much more practical for the street. Look for the CE certification label inside the jacket. If it says A or AA, it's safe for open road speeds. And remember that the safest gear is the one you actually wear, not the one left hanging in the garage. Myth number 2. I've been riding for 20 years. I don't need training. The veteran says he's survived all this time and already knows what he's doing. That courses are for novices, confusing tenure with talent. But there's a huge difference between 20 years of experience and 1 year of experience repeated 20 times. Without training, most riders develop bad habits early on and consolidate them over decades. They aren't skilled, they're lucky, and luck runs out. When a real emergency arrives, their muscle memory is actually panic memory, and they freeze. Skill degrades without practice, and riding is a perishable athletic skill. Even MotoGP riders have coaches. If you haven't done an advanced course or a track day with instruction, you're probably using only 20% of your bike's capability and your own potential. Swallow your pride and sign up for a course this summer. You'll be surprised at everything you didn't know, and it'll make riding more fun as well as safer. Myth number 1. It was always the car's fault. We end with the ultimate excuse. The car pulled out, cut me off. There was gravel in the corner. Riders love to blame external factors. We see ourselves as victims of the road, helpless against the stupidity of drivers. This is the victim mentality, and although legally the car may be at fault, physics doesn't care about the law. If you're dead, being right is useless. By blaming the car, you absolve yourself of responsibility and tell yourself there was nothing you could have done. And if you believe there was nothing you could do, you won't try to learn or improve, and you'll make the same mistake again. You are the captain of your ship. In almost every motorcycle accident involving other vehicles, there was a moment when the rider could have changed the outcome. Could you have slowed down approaching that blind spot? Could you have taken a different lane position? Could you have anticipated the driver's stupidity? Adopt radical responsibility. After every close call, ask yourself what you did to put yourself in that situation and what you could have done to avoid it. Stop blaming cars. Expect them to be stupid, and it's your job to be smarter than them, not just complain. Control what you can control, and the rest becomes experience instead of an accident. 12 myths you probably believed. 12 lies that can kill you. The good news is that now you know. The bad news is that most people you know still believe them. Now tell me, which of these myths did you assume were true? Or do you know someone who swears by any of them? Leave it in the comments. And if you want more content that makes you think twice before getting on the bike, subscribe to Moto Sin Filtros, hit the bell and like. See you in the next one.